European LMP2 teams are coming to IMSA as the World Endurance Championship shuts down the LMP2 Pro-Am category for 2023. 2022 DPI champion Ollie Jarvis will not return to Meyer Shank Racing to defend his crown, and a two-time Indy 500 champion is exploring an IMSA ride in 2023. Going to be lots of focus on the LMP2 category today, as IMSA is exploring making changes to the technical regulations for the class in 2023. This comes after evaluating the speed differences between the LMP2 category and the incoming GTP class cars. Now, while the new LMDH cars that will be racing in the GTP category, they make similar times around tracks that they've tested at so far anyway, to the DPI category from years past, but they make their time up in different ways. For instance, it is understood that the DPI cars are slower down the straightaways, but were more nimble and lighter in the corners that allowed them to make up some speed there, whereas the LMDH entries, they are going to be making more top speed on the straightaways. Now, IMSA does already have some data to work off of here because there was an LMP2 car that was present at the first LMDH test that was IMSA run at Road Atlanta in October. It is understood that there will be multiple LMP2 entries taking part at the Daytona test for all four of the LMDH manufacturers in December. In some worldwide news regarding the LMP2 category, the current generation of LMP2 car will be sticking around for a little bit longer, which yes, means a grid full of Orcas. You might recall back over the summer, there was an announcement that the new generation of LMP2 car would not be racing until 2025 at the earliest. That was confirmed here recently, that the current spec of LMP2 car will remain in operation, and that some more news is expected to be released in the coming months. Well, it's not just those LMP2 regulations that are not finalized quite yet. In that GTP category, IMSA is still evaluating whether they want to allow or enforce EV starts from the pit lane. The potential to have an EV launch out of the pit box, and even the possibility of having it be electric power only on pit road, is something that is being evaluated, and it is something that teams have been trying out in testing. Now, we won't really know what this is going to look like until it has been finalized in the technical regulations, but there are some other aspects of the 50 kilowatt or approximately 67 horsepower Bosch electric motor that is combined with the Williams Advanced Engineering battery, and how those can be deployed. It's not likely that we're going to see these finalized tech regulations until after the amalgamation period. Speaking of that amalgamation period, mid-November is the timeline that IMSA and the ACO were aiming for to get the amalgamation completed for all of the LMDH cars. However, the only news that has come out of that front is that it seems like Cadillac have completed the amalgamation process. Now, IMSA was aiming to have all of these done ahead of their early December test at Daytona, so I'm thinking that we're probably going to hear some more about this in the coming weeks. Ollie Jarvis will not return to Meyer Shank Racing to defend his DPI crown in 2023. He confirmed earlier this month that he will not return to the team for the 2023 season, and he will instead run full-time in the World Endurance Championship with United Auto Sports in the LMP2 class. There were a couple of clashes in dates between the IMSA schedule and the World Endurance Championship calendar, which likely influenced the decision. He still had positive words for his now former team, saying, "I'm happy with how it all turned out. I really enjoyed my time with Tom and the team, and I wish them all the best for the future." He did also say that he remains open to a Michelin Endurance Cup ride if the right opportunity presents itself. Now, hearing about Jarvis's future kind of kicked off a series of silly season announcements, with the next domino to fall being that Colin Braun would join the Meyer Shank Racing team as the second full-time driver alongside Tom Blomqvist and Endurance Cup drivers Simon Pagenaud and Helio Castroneves. This announcement came days after it was announced that Core Autosport, that has competed in almost every IMSA category, including actually running the Porsche GTLM program, would be closing their doors. Team owner and driver John Bennett had this to say: "From towing a race car to SCCA races in 1992 to winning races in IMSA's top prototype class with Colin Braun in 2018, I've had an amazing, dreamlike experience in the sport I love so much. This was a tremendously difficult decision, but as life outside of racing continues to take my focus away from the driver's seat, I recognize that it's time to bring this wild ride to an end." He also thanked Colin for his dedication to the team, and ultimately ending with, "I was a fan of IMSA during the fire-throwing GTP days of the early 1980s. It has been an honor to be an IMSA competitor for the last 13 seasons. Thank you, IMSA, for all of your support. Now it's time to unclip the Hans device and become a spectator. I look forward to the rebirth of the GTP factory prototype racing and the spectacular season ahead for IMSA. I will be there, just behind the chain link fence, watching with the excitement of a child." Thank you, John, for being such a staple in the series for so long and everything that you have done for the sport. John DeGeese of Sports Car 365 put together really a great article. You don't usually get goosebumps reading an article, but this is really, really, really well done, and I'll link it down below. It just kind of goes through the gentleman's agreement that Colin and John had, that when the right opportunity arose for Colin, John was going to call it quits. So I highly recommend going and checking that out. Again, link down in the show notes. TDS Racing will be the new home for Stephen Thomas, as the LMP2 driver will make the switch over from PR1 Matheson Motorsports. Thomas will be the bronze driver in a full season entry after winning the LMP2 Pro-Am category at Le Mans last year. This will be the second TDS car on the grid after it being previously confirmed that bronze driver Francois Hérault will be in the second entry. Scott Huffaker and Mikael Jensen are believed to be Thomas's co-drivers. I said there was going to be lots of European LMP2 teams that were coming over, and it just keeps on coming, as Algarve Pro Racing, they're also believed to be interested in a full season LMP2 entry, with Daily Sports Cars' Graham Goodwin reporting that team owners Stuart and Sam Cox were in the United States sorting out all the logistics to go around with a full season entry. In addition, the 2022 ELMS champions in LMP2 Pro-Am Racing Team Turkey will make their IMSA debut at the Rolex 24 in January. Sally Jolich, Charlie Eastwood will be joined by ELMS and World Endurance champion Phil Hansen and ELMS race winner Juan Manuel Correa. IndyCar veteran Takuma Sato is coming to IMSA, but in what car? According to a motorsport.com article, Sato will be running part-time in the IndyCar Championship in 2023, which opens him up for a part-time ride in IMSA. Now, when I was digging into this a little bit more, I was actually surprised. Takuma Sato has never run a race in IMSA, at least that I could find. He has, however, done a few races in the World Endurance Championship. The two-time Indy 500 champion has been linked to an Acura GT3 ride, but notably, it's not the Rick Ware Racing Acura. He has also been linked with the Rick Ware Racing LMP2 entry, which is interesting considering this is kind of the first news that we've heard about a Rick Ware Racing LMP2 entry for 2023. Now, Rick Ware Racing has competed in the LMP2 category previously, having done so in the Rolex 24 a few seasons ago, and they've actually also competed in the Asian Le Mans Series in a full season. There are a lot of LMP2 entries that are interested in joining the IMSA grid in 2023. Let me know in the comments down below or on Twitter what you think of the increased interest in the class. In some LMP3 news, JR3 Racing is looking at expanding into a two-team operation in 2023. Team owner Billy Glavin confirmed that they will return with Garrett Grist and Ari Balo for a full season entry starting at Sebring. If you'll recall, the LMP3 cars do not count for points if they race at Daytona. The team also plans to not run in the new VP Sports Car Challenge that of course includes the GT4 category cars as well as the LMP3 cars, and they will be focusing exclusively on the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, which makes a second car available. Now, Glavin said that he would ideally like to have this car race in the full season championship, but he did say that they have been receiving considerable interest in an Endurance Cup only season. Let's power through some quick hitting news from the GTD ranks. Starting with the back-to-back IMSA class champions, Pfaff Motorsports. They took delivery of their brand new Type 992 Porsche GT3 911 that they will be competing with in the 2023 season. Notably, a driver lineup has yet to be confirmed for that. Gunnar Jeanette and PJ Hyatt are launching a new full-season GTD program. The entry will run under the AO Racing name, and Jeanette, a former regular in the IMSA ranks, has given very high praise to Hyatt, who is the founder of GitHub. Like Pfaff, they will also be running the new Type 992 Porsche 911 GT3R. Team TGM will return to the Rolex 24 in 2023, but it's not going to be with Porsche. Team owner Ted Giovannis confirmed that he will join co-drivers Owen Twinkler, Hugh Plum, and Matt Plum in the GTD category. They will be supported by TF Sport and running an Aston Martin Vantage GT3 after running the Porsche 911 GT3R in the 2022 edition. Now, this is quite interesting because, if you'll recall, Team TGM, they race Porsches in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. It has also been reported that they will be switching to Aston Martin Vantage GT4s in the Michelin Pilot Challenge next season, and this comes after piloting the new for 2022 Porsche 718 GT4 RS Club Sport last season. The team supporting them, TF Sport, they will also be present in the LMP2 ranks, supporting the Racing Team Turkey effort. Crucial Motorsports will be the first North American team to enter the new McLaren Artura GT4 car in the Michelin Pilot Challenge in 2023. You'll recall that Crucial made their debut in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship in 2022 in the GTD ranks. They've previously expressed interest in expanding their IMSA operations. It looks like they're going to follow through on that. You love to see it. A couple of IMSA teams also held female driver shootouts over the past month, with recently Kelly Moss Road and Race announcing that former W Series driver and mechanical engineer Sabre Cook has secured a full season seat in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America presented by the Cayman Islands. And meanwhile, the Heart of Racing had their own female driver shootout where they announced that Hannah Grisham, Rihanna O'Mara Hunt will compete in the 2023 Pirelli GT4 Americas Series in an Aston Martin Vantage GT4. And while they had only intended to take one driver out of the shootout, they decided to go with the pair, but they also decided to take a third test driver in 17-year-old Annie Rule. Grasser Racing has announced its intentions to run the long races in IMSA in the 2023 season with the new Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2. And an interesting one here from Brian Herta Autosport. They have announced a scaled back 3-car operation for the 2023 season in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. Now, 2-time and defending TCR class champions Taylor Hagler and Michael Lewis are confirmed to be paired once again. They will be joined by Robert Wickens and Mark Wilkins, who will also return as teammates, but the third car that they're running is still to be determined. This third car was held for Michael Johnson and his Michael Johnson Racing entry, but he has announced that he will not be returning in 2023 with the hopes of returning for the 2024 season. Now, team owner Brian Herta did leave some interesting tidbits of information in here, saying that he has expressed interest in moving up to the GTP category, but would only do so if they were going to be running a factory outfit. You can learn all about that and all of the recent GTP car updates right here. A big thank you to all of our early Patreon supporters, and if you too want to support the show, you can check that out in the show notes. Otherwise, a big thank you for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great race weekend and doesn't go off in the S's.